Hello, hello, friends, and welcome to Coffee and Conversation, or in this case, chai. This isn't can't even do tea talk, but it's good to be back with you. It is good to have an opportunity to chat. Peace be with you. So glad that you're here. Let us know in the comments, who you are. Say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and if you're catching it on replay, just give us a hashtag replay. And if you're live with us, thank you for being here. We're so happy to be back, to be sharing coffee and conversation with you. And this is a topic that I absolutely love. So, we've been talking for the last few weeks about going deeper. And, Greg put out this awesome, just challenge to us, when he said, if you're not willing to go deeper, nothing will change, basically. I think that's how he said it, right? But if we want to change, if we want to move forward, we have to be willing to go deeper. We have to be able to dig deeper, And many of you know that I'm a life coach, right? It's something that I love and I'm passionate about doing. But really, what I think that means is that I help people go deeper. Right? There's a lot of people out there who want things for their lives, and then week after week, month after month, year after year, they're just not achieving it. They're not getting there. They're not going deeper to get to the place that is going to make the real transformation in their life. And yeah, we want to be able to change that, right? So if you can relate to that, if you're somebody who's like, yeah, I wanted to finally, be able to run that marathon. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going to do it this time. And you start training for it, and then you kind of fall off and you're not able to maintain that commitment that you wanted to make. We have to understand why. Why did that happen? Is it that you really didn't want to do that marathon? Because for you to be able to run that marathon meant that you're going to have to make some changes in your schedule, in your life, in the way that you do things. You can't just wake up one day and run a marathon. It takes work to get there. So what is it that has been holding you back from going to that place where you're able to do that? If you're someone who has said, I want to release weight, I want to be thinner, I want to be healthier, I want to be whatever, and then, you just keep eating chocolate. Hello, me. Right? And you just keep doing the same things over and over again, and you're not changing anything. Do you really want that? Because you're not going to find that freedom without going deeper and figuring out what has held you back and what you need to do to get there, right? So going deeper in the dailies is what I'm calling this talk today. We're going deeper in the dailies, the everyday life. We want to identify what are some of the things that have held us. So cheers. Welcome, everybody. Peace be with you. Once you're on, just comment, say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from, and what are you doing today? What are you off to? Thank you for starting your day with us. Trying something new. I've got some chai and some almond milk. I'm not loving it. I gotta be honest. So we're just gonna set it aside. I even added cinnamon, but anyway, yeah. So we're talking today about going deeper in the dailies. Okay, and when I say deeper in the dailies, I'm talking about our relationships, deeper enjoyment of our lives, right? Deeper prayer life and spirituality, which we've been talking about. I loved Libby talked last time about going deeper in worship, especially with as it relates to the mass, which was super fascinating. Deeper relaxation, sleeping better. We're so sleep deprived. Our country is ridiculously sleep deprived. So getting deeper, more restful relaxation and sleep. Right? Many of us have forgotten the art of relaxation. So learning how to do that deeper on the daily is really, really powerful. And then deeper focus and concentration. I find this is like an epidemic of, lack of focus, of squirrel brains. And I'm all about the squirrels. You know me, all about the squirrels. But this epidemic of squirrel brain, or lack of focus or lack of concentration, is just a symptom of our inability to go deeper in the daily, in our thoughts, right? And in the way that we do things and the intention in which we go forth in things. So, it was interesting. I was talking recently with a girl that I grew up with on my old street. We were T intersection. So this is my street, and then her street was here. So we were essentially a dead end, right? You couldn't go anywhere when you got to her street. So technically, you couldn't really go anywhere if you got on my street. But we had a wonderful neighborhood, something that Lifetime movies, well, more probably Hallmark movies, are made from. This wonderful neighborhood. And we were reminiscing about it, especially this time of year, because her house was on the end and she was under all of these maple trees. Now, those of you who have maple trees or any leaf bearing trees in your yard this time of year, you're probably going, that is not fun, right? But how, do you remember when you were a child and you would rake the leaves into the biggest pile possible so that when you dove into it, you could go deep down into those leaves and then pop up and scatter them all over the place, much to the person who raked them's demise, right? But her father, and I didn't realize this. I don't know who as a kid, I don't have a memory of who actually raked the paths. But instead of raking his whole yard to be leafless, he would rake paths all throughout the front and backyard, and it became this big maze. And there were these giant leaf piles every so often throughout the maze, right? And the neighborhood kids would, I couldn't wait in the fall to get home from school and throw on my play clothes and run down to her house, because I knew that at any moment, the most epic of epic, mazes and game of chase and tag would ensue. Right. And it was so great because if you could make your way to one of those piles, if you dove into the pile, you were safe. And who doesn't love to dive in a pile of leaves, right? So these epic games of chase and tag in these pathways. And I talked about it. I'm like, who even made those pathways? Did you guys have to do it? And she was like, oh no, that was my dad. He loved doing that and creating this fun for all of the neighborhood kids to go to. And we would play hard. We would run hard. We would laugh hard. Just imagine it in a pile of leaves, just laughing your butt off. And if you got tagged and now you had to be the person chasing everybody else around, it was so fun. It was just so fun. And then we'd all just one by one hear the call. All right. In a neighborhood like that, back in the day before cell phones, every parent had one way or another of calling their kid. One of my good friends, his father would whistle. He had this super strong, shrill whistle, and you could hear it throughout the neighborhood, right? And others would have like a foghorn type thing that they would blow, and then their kid knew, oh, that's me, got to go to dinner. And one by one, people would leave the maze. Mine was one of two things. And the first one was what I preferred. The 5 o'clock whistle at the fire station. When the fire station, which was just a few miles away, would blow that 5 o'clock whistle, I knew that it was time for me to go home, and that dinner would be shortly thereafter because Dad would be getting home and we would all sit down as a family around the dinner table. Remember those days? Yeah, right? So that was mine. But sometimes my mom needed me home sooner. And so she would just come outside and yell, Carrie, at the top of her lungs. And everyone would just look at me and I'd be like, yeah, that's me. I don't know. We all knew whose was who. So I don't know why that embarrassed me so much. It wasn't like it was, the secret was out that Carrie had to go home. So let me know in the comments if you had something similar to that in your neighborhood. Like, what was your call to go home? Now we just text our kids, get your butt home, right? But what was your call to come home when you were younger and you were out playing? Were you out playing? Because that's one of the things, right? When we were playing that game of tag, we were all in. We were all into that game. We were all into each other. We were laughing deeply. We were running hard. There was so much depth to the fun that we were having. And I think about my own kids, and I think that was really missing from my children's childhood. Why? Why? And does that happen still today? And I just missed it, or what was it? What kept my own children from going into those deep fun, deep play, deep friendships, relationships? I was talking with some teens in a group that I have. I do some workshops for teenagers, and we do these life balance boot camps for teens. And I was talking with some of them recently, and I was asking them, like, do you have lifer friends? Those friends who they're in your life right now, and that they will be in your wedding, and that they will be there when your children are born, and that you will make sure that you see on the regular. Most of them didn't. And, I looked at the relationships that my own mother had with her friends, her girlfriends. They still get together whenever they can. A lot of them are scattered now. They became snowbirds or they've moved with their kids to other parts of the country. But whenever possible, when a few of them are in town at the same time, they still get together and they're in their 80s, right? And these are friends that they've had from the beginning. They were at each other's weddings. They were in school together. They were there when children were born and, so on and so forth. And I always looked at that and I thought that I didn't have the depth of relationships that my mom had. But now I look at my own children and I realize that I do have some really wonderful relationships. In fact, the place where I was I was having that conversation with my friend was actually the birthday party for my first ever BFF. Right? Her and I have been friends since the crib. And our parents lived next door to each other, and she was in that same neighborhood. And she didn't stay in that neighborhood the same amount of time that I did, but we have maintained that friendship all of these years. We've been friends for over 50 years. And to me, that is incredible. It's wonderful. And there is a depth to that relationship, and it was built on a foundation of deep experiences, of those all-nighter conversations, of those first kisses, for all those shared experiences, right? Those deeper moments. Now, I'm not saying that young people today don't have those moments, but what we have found is that a lot of our young people are connecting and building their relationships within the world of technology. And we do it as well, right? Let me know in the comments if you've noticed that, you've got friends in your life who you engage with on social media. Like, okay, let's talk about my age group, Facebook, right? Maybe it's Instagram if you're a little more hip. And maybe you're living in TikTok world and you're way above me. I don't know. But let's just talk about Facebook. So how many of you have friends that've been in your life forever and you see what's happening in each other's lives on Facebook and you comment and you really feel like you're up to date with what's happening in their lives? You've stayed connected and you're grateful for that experience to be able to stay connected in such a busy world, right? With technology. However, when is the last time you and that same friend actually sat together over a meal and talked, or got a cup of coffee together, or picked up the phone and actually had a conversation outside of the social media? I know for me, let me know in the comments too, if you would. And if you've joined us since, welcome. We're talking about deeper in the daily, going deeper in the daily. Let me know in the comments, if you can relate to that, if you have those relationships. I remember saying to one of my friends, I was so grateful that we have technology because she lives like in Alaska now, right? And I said, I'm so glad that we can stay connected, but are we ever going to have another phone conversation? Are we ever going to talk again? And it was one of those things where when you did talk, you picked up right where you left off, but then you'd be on the phone for 2 hours and then then life got busy and you were like, I don't have an hour or two to spend on the phone with so and so. So I'm just not going to call. I'll just engage on social media, right? And so that's keeping us from going and diving deeper into that relationship. And I see that with our children. But what is more scarier, what is for me more of a concern is the fact that how we show up on social media, how we show up in our technological relationships is how we want people to see us. Nobody that I know of ever posts pictures of them folding laundry. Nobody ever does a selfie of cleaning the bathroom. Now you might be saying, okay, but those are just mundane chores. Who wants to see that? But you know what I'm saying, right? We don't always show, and thank goodness we don't, what's really happening in all aspects of our lives. We don't know what our friends are really going through anymore. Most really, honestly. And this might be, you might feel like that's a general statement and that you are still connected with your friends, and that's awesome, right? But I know for myself that there has been a disconnect over the last 10 years at least, right? That has kept me from going into a depth in those relationships. Mainly because I'm not letting you know what's going on in my life, the reality of that, right? If I were to say to you in the comments, if you follow me on social media, give me a couple words that describe the life you think I lead, right? What is the life that you think that I lead? And if you had to give my life a rating, a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being, oh my gosh, this girl is a struggle bus every single day, right? To 5, this girl is living the dream life that I wish I was living. right? Put me in there. Give me a rating. Let me know if you follow me on the socials, what kind of life you think that I lead. Do that for yourself. Ask somebody else to give you, just a little monitor, a little gauge on what kind of life they think you're leading, and let that be illuminating to you. Maybe you're like, okay, yeah, people get me, or maybe you're like, if they only knew, right? And the "if you only knew" is a quote, maybe, or a thought that should be an indication that perhaps we aren't going as deep in our dailies as we want to, or as maybe we should. So why does that happen, right? I know that it's the cry of many parents. You finally sit down around the dinner table and it's like, put your phone down, or it's go outside and play, you need some fresh air, and you're constantly put your phone down, go outside, put your phone down, go outside. But I think there's going to be a whole, like, when my kids start having kids, I don't think that that's going to be a thing. I don't think they're going to say put your phone down, go outside, because they didn't put their phones down and go outside. And if they went outside, they took their phones with them. They sat on a rock. you know. Now I'm not bashing technology. I'm just saying that we need to have an awareness of going deeper in our dailies that sometimes technology takes away, right? But where it has been really good and where I've seen it good is, I still have those friends that, if you follow me, you see that, over the summer, I sit with my feet in the creek with my two good girlfriends, and we talk about life, and we go deep into what's going on in our lives, in our families, with our children, with our husbands, like talk through it all. God gave us these relationships to be life-giving and supportive, and a safe place for us to be real, to go deep, right? And when we don't have those relationships, or don't take time from, or don't nurture them, right? Uh, then that can really suffer, and we can suffer as a result of it, right? Let me know if you agree with that. Let me know, and then let me know in the comments. Do you have that person, that's someone, or a few people that you can do that with, that you can go deeper in your lives, and that you make sure you do? We have a couple that we were in a great habit of going to dinner once a month, just the parents, and it was so great. Well, we got out of that even before the pandemic, but we were talking recently about how we need to get that back. Right, we need to get that back, because making time to share those moments with each other, and it doesn't have to be going out to dinner and spending a ton of money. It can be like, hey, I'm making the pot of spaghetti. Do you want to come over? And just making sure that you have that time to do that. I'd love to know how many of you also, do you do like family game nights, or friend bunko nights or something? Do you have those experiences where you do that? And then do you do them just as your family, your nucleus, or do you get together with friends and have game nights? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd be really fascinated to see that. It's something that I love to do and want to do more of. And we do have a set of friends that we do that with, and so fun, right? Okay. So as we some of the other things that I think have kept us from going deeper, I just have two quick little points to make. So one is, I think that there are a lot of people, the more that I talk with people about this, the more people can relate to this, that, I personally have been having like mind and memory issues over the last 8 years. And what I've equated this to is, part of it was burnout, part of it was overwhelm, part of it, there's a lot of factors for it, but I'm not alone in this. A lot of women, especially my age, but a lot of my friends have off, have also said, I don't even know what's wrong with me anymore. I can't remember anything. I just, things I used to know, I don't know anymore. Everyone's like, either I have Alzheimer's or a tumor. That's what we jump to, because it's like this inability to remember things, to think of words, to form sentences. What is it? And if that's you and you're willing to say, yeah, I relate to that, let me know. But it is something that I decided earlier this year, but months ago, I needed to change. I needed to fix it. And which is why this topic is so, I'm so passionate about this topic, right? Because what I realized is that because I wasn't remembering things, I stopped having a depth in the relationships that I really wanted to, you know? Because here's the thing. Let's say you and I get together and we're having a cup of coffee, and you share with me something really big that's happening in your life. Maybe it's something life altering and traumatic, or maybe it is something really awesome about what one of your kids is doing, or a grandkid, or whatever, right? We have this conversation and it's wonderful. We have a great time together. And I love doing that. These coffee talks, right? Especially in person. So then the next time I see you, I don't bring it up. I don't mention it. I don't bring it up. I don't remember it. I think maybe you shared something with me and I'm supposed to know what it is and I don't know. And if I have that level of awareness, I just don't get together with you again because I don't want to be put into a situation where I'm not going to remember this big thing that you shared with me, because I don't want you ever to think I don't care, that it didn't matter to me, that you don't matter to me. I want you to know that I heard you, that I saw you, that I was deep into that moment with you, because that's important, right? But how am I going to show that to you if I don't remember what it was that you told me? So I don't even bring it up. I pretend it didn't even happen. Let's say you share with me that you have cancer. God forbid, right? And then suddenly we're together again and I don't even ask you how you're doing. What is I going to say? So I started like removing myself and stop having these deep conversations and deep connections with people and alienating myself because I never wanted to be put in that position and I didn't want to live that way anymore. Because by the way, for a life coach, that's a really bad trait to have, to not remember anything your clients tell you. So I've been on a mission to fix it. And I really have been being I've been making a lot of strides and doing a lot of things that have helped tremendously over the last 6 months. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But I think that those of you who are in that place, it's because you might be overwhelmed. You might have too much going on. There might be so much in your own life that you can't even deal with anybody else's drama. And so either you don't ask, you don't want to know, or they tell you and then you just don't want to deal with it. So you avoid later on, right? And so those are some of those things that can do that. But then also in our prayer time, because of all of these things in our mind going on in our world, in our lives, right? We sit down to pray and we might say, okay, I have 15 minutes. I'm going to get out my journal. I'm going to read some scripture and then I'm going to have a little bit of time to pray. Or I have 30 minutes I'm going to dedicate to this. You're all set. You got your coffee, you've got your journal, you've got your Bible, you're ready. And you sit down to start this and you read something and you don't even take it in. And so you read it again and you're like, I don't even know. And you start to journal and you're like, I don't even know what to say, because your mind is thinking of all of the things that you need to do today and all the places you have to go and all the things that other people need from you. And you lose the ability to really focus in that moment. So your 15 to 30 minutes turns into 5 minutes, right? And you just issue a quick prayer and you're off on your day. Now, there's nothing wrong with quick prayer all throughout the day. But if we get into this habit of just a quick prayer, God, we lose the depth that we need to be able to hear him reply to us and speak to us and love on us the way that he wants to. We need to take that time back to be able to go deeper. And so what I wanted to do, as a songwriter, I know when I am not connecting with God because I'm not writing, right? So that's a good indicator for me. What's your indicator? And if you want to share it, great, please do. But know what your indicator is that you and God are not connecting. Because when you go deeper in the daily with God, everything else will follow suit. You will be able to go deeper in the daily in all aspects of your life when you are able to make that connection back to going deeper with God. Like Greg talked about way in the beginning, going deeper in that deep water, going out into the deep water and really making an impact. So I'm taking a lot of your time, guys. So I'm going to go quickly over 4 things that may be helpful. And some of this might be just super obvious, but just it's good for a reminder. So number 1, you've got to have tech-free time. You've just got to. Tech is great, but if it's in your every moment and this never leaves you, including next to your bed at night, you have to change that. It's a non-negotiable. Okay. So making those moments, those tech-free moments, and allowing yourself, being like, I'm not missing that much, right? Sometimes you have to talk yourself into it. That's another workshop. Use a timer. Right. I used to use an old-fashioned sand timer, and I would flip that over and I would give my 100% to whatever task I was doing for as long as the sand let me. Right. And it actually works really great. So I need to get back to that. I actually gave my sand timer to someone else who was struggling. So I need to get a new one. But that's really, I used to be a surface cleaner in my house. Like everything was just kind of clean. But now what I'll do is I'll set a timer and I'll just go deep into one area, kitchen cabinets. Done. I'm not even thinking about it. And then the next day it might be the bathroom or it might be this. And I'm going to start posting it on social so you can watch me clean my bathroom. I'm just kidding. um, so using that timer, or if you're sitting down for a family dinner, just be like, okay, we're going to have dinner. And, I remember when dinners used to be 45 minutes long, and you talk about things and you'd get silly and everything would be in that. And we're not looking, that is somewhat of a days gone by, right? And if that's not, and your family still does that, let us know, and round of applause. Right? But if you're going to take 20 minutes to have a meal and you took the time to prepare it, like, you have the right to say, this is tech free time. Set it aside, put a timer on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you as a family decide. And then at first you'll get some grumbles and moans from the family, but then they will start to really appreciate it. And you just say, that's it. Out of 24 hours, let's take 30 minutes for each other. Right. And go deep in that time and listen deeper listening. So you're hearing what they're not saying. Right. Limit multitasking. Women have been toting for years our pride in being able to multitask better than the guys. But with reality, the reality is, and studies have shown, experience has shown, that if you are a multitasker, you are not going deep in any one of the things that you are all trying to do at the same time. So to get the depth, you need to stop the multitask. Right. So, okay. And then, of course, the fourth one is what trumps all of them, which is your deep faith, deeper in the daily with God, like I was just talking about. When all is said and done, technology, media, busy schedules, overbooked activities, all the things that are constantly vying for your time and attention. To me, it's just a tool the enemy uses to keep us from the deeper in the daily moments with God, to that intimate, loving, beautiful relationship that he wants for us in our lives. Okay. So in our last 2 minutes together, I just wanted to really just take a look. I love how Amy talked about going deeper in service, ways to serve God in the daily. And as you're doing that and you're able to really connect with God in that deeper way of being able to love him and serve others, it's a beautiful thing. So let's just pray together, friends, as we end our time together. Just pray as God is calling us to a deeper relationship, to go out into that ocean. And you don't need to be scared of it. God is your life raft. He is your lighthouse in the distance. And he is also the creator of all the beautiful mysteries that lie deep, deep, deep down below. That's where I want to go. I don't want to stay on the surface. I want to go deep into the mysteries. So let's pray for that ability to go deeper into our faith, which will make everything else come together. Amen. You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep. My faith will stand, and I will call upon your name. Let's do that now. Let's call upon him. And keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Father God, call us deeper, show us the way. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the water, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith could be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you call me. and I will call upon your name. Keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. God is calling each and every one of us deeper and deeper, friend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you for going a little long. It's been a while. I've had so much to say. I promise my future ones will be shorter. But God bless you and God keep you. And thank you for being here. And thank you for always trying to go deeper in your own faith and relationships. And if I can ever help you in any way, please let me know. Okay. God bless.